One day, Seiji and his wife, Miki, get lost in a desolate forest with no one around. It starts pouring heavily, and as they desperately search for shelter, they spot a small cave ahead. Seeking refuge from the rain, they step inside. But they're not alone. Something or someone is watching them from the shadows. Suddenly, it attacks them. In an effort to move on, Seiji and Miki go on a vacation, but the wounds of their past still linger. While there, Seiji feels dejected seeing other children and confesses to Miki, "I regret everything that happened last year. That's why I brought you here, to help us cope." He adds that he heard about a beautiful waterfall nearby, rumored to bring happiness to those who admire it. Hearing this, Miki scoffs, "Are you really starting to believe in such nonsense now?" Seiji replies, "I'm ready to believe anything if it means a fresh start." With that, they set out to find the waterfall. However, a heavy downpour begins, worsening the weather and leaving them lost in the forest. Frustrated, Miki lashes out, blaming Seiji for being useless. "I shouldn't have come with you," she says angrily. Seiji, however, changes the mood with an eerie story. "Do you know?" He begins with a faint smile. "This area has seen the deaths of thousands of people. So much blood has been spilled here." His words unsettle Miki, who questions his sudden strange behavior. Feeling uneasy, Miki blurts out, "You didn't bring me here to sightsee, did you? You're just looking for inspiration for your next novel, aren't you?" This is where we learn that Seiji is a novelist. Miki grows more agitated and confronts him about their son's death. "It's all your fault. Because of you, our son is dead," she yells. Enraged, Seiji stops the car abruptly in an isolated area. "Why did you stop here?" Miki asks nervously. "The fuel's out." He lies, though it's clear he stopped on purpose. Seiji suggests they look for help, grabs a wrench from the car trunk, and sets out on foot with Miki. But then he suddenly stops and turns to her, his expression darkening. Out of nowhere, he attacks Miki with the wrench, shouting, "It's your fault. You're the reason our son is dead, not me." His voice filled with madness. "I'll end this once and for all. I'll end you and start a new life." Terrified, Miki breaks free and runs for her life. As she enters a cave, Sachi follows her closely, only to find Miki lying on the ground, injured from one of Sachi's earlier attacks. Her leg seems to be hurt, making her unable to move. Sachi prepares to finish her off, but suddenly he senses someone watching them. Turning around, he spots a creepy little boy standing there, searching for his mommy. When Sachi tries to question him, the boy abruptly runs away. Confused, Sachi dismisses it as a figment of his imagination. After all, what would a child be doing in such a deserted place? Deciding not to dwell on it, he focuses on his plan to kill his wife and leave the cave silently. But before he can act, an old man attacks him from the shadows. Sachi narrowly dodges the assault and begins questioning his sanity. Was this real or just another hallucination? To escape, he opens a hatch leading to a tunnel and jumps inside. This transition takes us into Sachi's past, revealing glimpses of his life when his son was still alive. We see Sachi struggling as a writer. His publisher rejects his novel, claiming it doesn't suit their target audience. Disheartened, he returns home where Miki arrives after picking up their son, Jun, from school. Sachi notices that Miki has done a lot of shopping, which deepens his frustration. With no income from his writing, their financial situation is bleak, but Miki seems indifferent, continuing to splurge without concern. So this subtly hints at Miki's character as a gold digger, prioritizing her own desires over their family's struggles. Back in the present, Sachi ventures deeper into the tunnel. He discovers numerous small rooms filled with human skeletons, victims of a mysterious predator. In one of the rooms, he finds a girl tied up and still alive. Desperate for answers, Sachi asks her about the monster and why she's being held captive. But the girl only sobs silently. Before he can get a response, the monster appears behind him and attacks. It drags Sachi into another room and ties him up alongside its other prisoners. As Sachi regains his senses, he notices another captive in the room. an injured man missing his limbs, begging for death. Ignoring the man's pleas, the monster begins torturing Sachi. The horror escalates as the scene flashes back to Sachi's past once more. He is seen pitching his novel to yet another publisher, only to face another rejection. Meanwhile, Miki continues discussing extravagant spending plans, worsening Sachi's despair. Returning to the present, the torture intensifies. Seiichi, determined to survive, looks closely at the monster tormenting him, and is stunned to realize it's not an old man at all. It's his wife, Miki. Shocked, he stammers, "Miki?" Miki smirks and retorts, "And how does it feel now, Sachi, to be on the receiving end of all this pain?" Desperate, Sachi pleads for her help, but Miki responds by striking him across the face with a wrench. "Help you?" She sneers. "Never." Miki begins torturing Seiichi mercilessly, beating him until he's left bruised, bloodied, and barely able to stand. After ensuring his condition is dire, she leaves him there, her anger unresolved. The story then shifts to the tragic event that marked their lives forever: the death of their son, Jun. One day, Seiichi was comfortably seated in his room, earphones plugged in, lost in his writing, while Miki was preparing to leave for shopping. She casually called out to Seiichi from outside his room, saying, "Seiichi, I'm heading out for shopping. Jun is alone at home, so take care of him." However, Seiichi, completely absorbed in his music, heard nothing. Miki, assuming her words had reached him, left without ensuring he heard her. What followed was devastating. Jun, playing around the house, accidentally fell from the balcony, losing his life in an instant. This horrifying accident became the root of Miki's unrelenting blame toward Seiichi. As the story progresses, we see that after Miki leaves Seiichi in that terrible state, the same creepy child from before reappears in the room. He asks about his mom again, and this time, Seiichi connects the dots. It's the same woman he encountered earlier. Taking a chance, Seiichi tells the boy, "If you untie me, I'll take you to your mom." The boy agrees and frees him. Together, they set out to find the boy's mother. Along the way, Seiichi stumbles upon a blade and some clothes, which he uses to arm and disguise himself. It's then that he realizes the truth. The old man who attacked him earlier is the boy's father, the one keeping the boy's mother captive. The boy explains, "My father says she'll run away again if she's let out, so he keeps her locked up." Hearing this, Seiichi tells the boy, "Take me to your father first. I'll deal with him." What follows is a grim confrontation. The scene shifts to Miki and the old man, engaged in disturbing intimacy. Miki, fully aware of her dire situation, calmly tells him, "I won't run, so take your time." This moment reveals why the old man never locked Miki up. She had been using her charms to survive. But suddenly, Seiichi storms in, blade in hand, and drives it through the old man without hesitation. Miki, frozen in terror, begins to tremble. She knows her end is near. Seiichi grabs her by the neck, ready to finish her off, but the old man, refusing to die, gets back on his feet and attacks Seiichi. Taking advantage of the chaos, Miki escapes. The old man, visibly shocked by her betrayal. "She just said she'd stay with me, and now she's running away," loses focus. Seiichi uses the distraction to strike him down once and for all. Meanwhile, Miki stumbles upon an exit and begins to flee. Before she can make it out, he shoots her in the head, killing her instantly. As Seiichi watches the boy, something shifts within him. The boy's desperate longing for his mother reminds him of Jun. Putting aside his anger, Seiichi decides to help the boy reunite with his mother. However, the story doesn't end here. The old man, still alive, arms himself and sets out to find Seiichi for one final confrontation. The scene shifts to Seiji, who has reached the tunnel with the child. He tells the boy to go down, but just then the old man arrives. Without hesitation, the old man leaps at Seiji. But this time, Seiji is prepared. He strikes the old man in the face with his torch, forcing him to stumble back. Seiji then turns to the boy and says, "Your mom is down there. Hurry up and go to her. I'll be right behind you. But it's not just a command. It feels like Seiji sees the boy as his own son. This becomes even more evident when he says, "Don't worry, Jun. Dad will be right behind you." Hearing this, the boy quickly heads down, leaving Seiji to confront the old man. At this point, the story flashes back to a darker time in Seiji's life. We see Seiji approaching his father-in-law to discuss a divorce. But instead of support, the father-in-law mocks him, saying, "First, you let your son die, and now you want to abandon my daughter too? Do you even realize how much money you'll have to pay for this divorce?" They only cared about money, adding to Seiji's despair. Unable to bear it anymore, Seiji leaves. A few days later, Seiji returns to the father-in-law with a plan. He tells him, "I want to take Mickey on a trip." Suspicious, the old man questions the sudden change, saying, "Weren't you planning to divorce her?" "What's with the sudden change of heart?" Seiji responds, "Yes, I was, but I've changed my mind." And with that, he pulls out a knife and kills the father-in-law on the spot. Afterward, he calls Mickey and invites her on this trip. What happens next, we already know. The story returns to the present. With the danger gone, Seiji descends into the tunnel. Reuniting with the woman and child, Seiji says, "Sorry, I'm late." The woman is shocked, unable to believe that Seiji took down the monster by himself. He replies, "I'd do anything to protect my wife and my son. We're a family now." Hearing this, the woman looks uneasy and says, "I can't believe it. Are we really going to get out of here?" But Seiji's expression changes. He looks confused and asks, "Why do you want to leave?" "There's nothing outside. Everything you need is right here. Me, you, and most importantly, our son. So why would you want to leave?" The woman, now terrified, realizes the truth. She says, "You're just like him. In the end, you've become a monster too." Seiji, visibly hurt, mutters, "Why does everyone always leave me?" And with that, he kills her too. The story ends with a grim twist. Seiji has taken the old man's place. 21 years pass and a new couple gets lost, wandering into the same cave. Seiji waits for them, ready to continue the cycle. This manga doesn't have a "the end." It's a loop where Seiji becomes the monster, and eventually someone else will take his place.
In the end, we see that Seiji was a broken person. True, his wife and her family were toxic, but he wasn't innocent either. He killed Mickey's family, then Mickey herself, and finally succumbed to his darkness, becoming a psycho killer. I hope you enjoyed this manga. If you want us to cover more manga like this, let us know in the comments below, and we will make a dedicated video for it.